Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever, for right now, I'm naming it the Rock and Talk podcast. We'll see how it goes from there. It was just on the spot. But today we have our very first guest, an honor for me, a good friend of mine, Tony. I'm going to probably fuck up his name, but Tony Gjokaj. Yeah. Gjokaj.
Close. Gjokaj.
Gjokaj. Yeah, so this is Tony Gjokaj. I've known Tony because me and Tony we met at this e-commerce get together a year and a half ago. Tony is an e-commerce business owner, but he also has his own personal brand, his brand that he has, and his mission. You can talk about your mission. Tell us about your mission.
Yeah, so essentially, guys, my whole mission is around helping people use exercise as a way to battle depression. It's something that I used to be an overweight, sleep deprived, very depressed kid all throughout middle school and high school. Towards the end of high school, I had thoughts of taking my own life, and I was unhappy with how I looked. I lacked self-confidence in myself. What people would say about me if they're picking on me and stuff, I would believe everything they'd said because I didn't have something to work towards, I guess you could say. And once I started working out, at first I hated it. And then I was getting the serotonin rush of the workout sessions, just feeling that high after every workout session. And I was like, you know what? Let's chase this. Let's see where this goes. It's making me feel better. And so for first few months, I was frustrated because I wasn't seeing any weight loss results. But what kept me going is that rush. And then like 3 or 4 months down the line, I started losing weight. And it was like, it kind of like clicked for me there and I was hooked. And since then, it's like I've kind of stumbled my way on this journey, but I've always pursued exercising for mental health primarily. And so fast forward probably about 15 years later, I'm still doing it, but this time it's like on a greater scale where I want to build a community of just people using exercise as a way to battle depression, get through their shit. It's so important in this day and age, even though we're more connected than ever before, there's like this disconnect of just community. Like everyone's just separates themselves from each other. And it's a very lonely thing, even though we're more connected on social media. And I feel like it's so important to surround yourself with like-minded people because they're going to drive you to where you want to be. Even if you're, just getting started on the journey and you want to surround yourself with greater people around you, that's the best place to do it. Just be like, I like the mindset of being the dumbest person in the room. And I throw myself and be the dumbest person in the room most of the time. And I find myself learning a lot in that process. So here we are today. And yeah.
Yeah, bro. I feel like the gym and working out is I feel like it's the last beacon of hope sometimes. Like sometimes when I get in
Yeah.
my I just get like negative or like in a depressed mood or anxious mood. And especially like, dude, I feel like the news gets worse like every year, every day, especially like I don't know, especially like nowadays, and it's like, bro, I feel like there's always some group like talking shit about the other, like shaming the other. And I feel like the gym is like the only place where like the only no BS place you can go. And it's like, oh, I'm here to work on myself and just get better. But even that, bro, I feel like I don't know. I feel like now you're seeing like you see on like on TikTok and shit of like last night, like we both do jujitsu, and there's this guy named Craig Jones, and Craig Jones is obviously badass, right? Craig Jones would kill me, would kill all of us, but he had this post that blew up, and he was talking about how like there's an epidemic of alpha men in jujitsu. You know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about?
I saw that video.
And I don't know what you feel about that. And I get it. I get like a lot of dudes because he was talking about dudes who post stuff like the ground is the ocean is my ground or something, and
Yeah.
most people can't swim, but I'm a shark. Or like, and he said he's talking trash about like Navy SEAL podcast and ice baths. So like talking trash about like Jocko Willink and stuff. And I get there's like a cringiness to it, but I also feel like I don't know. And again, you could tell me what you think, but I also feel like it's kind of like fucked up in a sense because even if it's cringy, a lot of people really do like cling to those. Sometimes those ideas, for how cringy they may sound, like pull people up. You
Yeah.
know, um, like I don't really know how you can shit on Jocko Willing for being like what? It's like should he be a fucking twink? You know?
So yeah, I was gonna say with that too is like you have Jocko and you have him as like he's living the lifestyle, right? I
Yeah.
feel like he has the most credibility in regards to that. I understand his point of view in talking about how like some people are trying to live that life and they're kind of cheesy and corny about it. But like it's then again, it's like you have guys that are raising kids and stuff like that, and they want to cling on to that last like that ounce of badassery that they're
Yeah,
losing as they become a father figure, you know? And I get it. I get it. Like I totally get it. Like I'm not a dad or anything, but I can understand where they're coming from. And
sure.
so like I get the hype around it. I say in that regard, and this is something that I try to preach to the people that watch my channel and stuff, is like you got to take action upon it. Don't just look for if the motivation, and I call it motivation porn, because if the motivation porn
Yeah,
is not going to get you to where you want to be, stop watching it. If it gets you that extra umph to take
yeah,
action upon what you want to do for your life, then utilize it. But if it's just like, if it's helping you not do the thing that you're supposed to do, I would avoid it.
yeah.
And I've seen
I
that
mean,
happen too. So
I did want to ask you near the end of the show about like how you feel about, I guess, because I mean, and don't get me wrong, like we've talked before, like there is kind of it is irritating sometimes. Like sometimes you see like even just like an average influencer just say like the same old like shit, about like so. But then sometimes it is too much for your brain, and I do think
yeah, yeah.
it can make it seem like you're doing less work than you are. But I think I don't know, bro. I feel like there is a happy medium to where because sometimes it's not so much just like quoting shit. Sometimes it is like a mindset philosophy you are kind of arming yourself with,
Hmm.
if you're going, But sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. I mean, but there's cheesy and cringy things everywhere.
Yeah.
I think it's cheesy, cringy, like that you want to be a badass. I think that's still better than I just want to be a little bitch, you know?
See, I get that too. Is like I actually laughed at that video because some of the stuff I posted, like especially like the stoicism stuff, I like it and I
Yeah,
post it. And I look and when he said that, I was like, I kind of laughed because it stung me too. Even if
yeah,
he wasn't like directly talking to me, it was like, oh yeah, post some of this cheesy stuff. But sometimes I need that stuff and I kind of post it on my story because then I'll look back like a year later, I'm like, oh, this was a good quote.
yeah,
So it's like I get the use of it, but like I said, as long as it keeps you going rather than, it's satisfying you,
yeah,
that's where it is. If it's something that just satisfies you and you're like, okay, I curbed my craving for it and I'm not taking action upon it, I'm kind of like the whole entire entrepreneur lifestyle where it's like, oh yeah, everyone's living that sexy entrepreneurial life, and it's like most of the time it's all in memes, right? And it's
yeah,
like, okay, that's all I need to do. And it's like, no, they haven't started their own business, or maybe they started it and they just half-assed it along the way. Like that kind of stuff is where it's like, okay, you need to really, really sit down and analyze what's going on with your life. And it's like, if you're not happy at where you're at this moment in time, and let's say you're watching all this social media stuff, maybe you got to get rid of that and try
yeah.
to build something that you want to build.
So then you talked about how you were like depressed or suicidal as a teenager. Like, do you think it feels like there's an epidemic of like just mental health crisis rising.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about when you were depressed as a teenager versus maybe what people are getting depressed over, like depression now?
This is such a good question because it's just so hard to pinpoint. For myself, I mean, when I was younger, obviously when you're younger, you feel like uh the world was ending with certain things in your life because you have this little bubble that you're in high school, especially. But once you get out, the real world essentially awaits. And like a lot of the people that I help out now they tend to be 18 plus, like 18 to 35. Usually the guys in their like late 20s and early 30s. And a lot of them, it's more so uh, the depression for them is like they've been doing the monotonous stuff of building their career and stuff, but they've
Yeah,
kind of lost track of their health. And in addition to that, they use that dissatisfaction they have in their life to escape in things. And it's like that's okay in moderation. Like hell, I like watching my Netflix shows and things like that, but I typically do that in the evening when my brain is just like gone, to
yeah,
kind of unwind. But like with them, it could be like 8-hour gaming sessions, for
yeah.
example. And with that, it's like I feel like if I ever get in that situation there, I feel like I'm escaping too long from my reality. and there needs to be something that needs to be changed in my reality to move forward. And sometimes it is just that small aspect of health and fitness to keep them going to that small extent. And then you never know what happens beyond that. Like maybe that health and fitness starts the catalyst of them building their own business or them building something that they want to build, things like that. So that's where I'm kind of like helping most of my guys out, is essentially that whole process of just getting their body moving, just a more active mind, feeling a lot healthier. Some of the guys I help, I actually just having a meeting with a guy this Friday. One of my buddies that I actually knew from college, he gained so much weight and he lost 130 some pounds in a year. And like he's like, let's talk. Like I like what you're talking about. Let's talk. And I'm like, you're like the perfect person that I want to help on their journey, because it's like you're like same age as me. We're trying to figure things out. There's so much going on in our lives. We feel like shit. We have no energy for things that we want to do. And it's like, my whole thing is preaching the smallest action possible. And the easiest thing that you can do for your mental health is move your body. Body and mind are connected. If you're not as active, get active. And yeah, I guarantee you'll feel slightly better day in and day out. So
Well, if someone is, so then when you say escapism, I mean, I agree. It definitely is. Would you say though, like somebody, I don't know how to phrase this question. So you were saying how people, like, let's say they're like, life is monotonous and it's, it's depressive, stressful, and maybe it's boring. Maybe it's disappointing. I think that's what it really is. Most of the time it's just very, very disappointing, because maybe it's nothing that you thought it was going to be when you were like 6 and dreaming of the real world. Right. So like when you say escapism, so you do your thing. So when they're running away and you're saying, oh, go to the gym for, they're running away from something. Are they running when people sabotage their health? I mean, I don't know how to phrase what I'm trying to fucking say, but like, are they running away from, because they're not necessarily running away from the gym per se.
This is a really good question, because it's like it's like a psychological one that's different for everybody. I think what you're getting at is like, are they doing that on purpose? Is that what you're trying to ask, something along those lines?
Honestly, I don't even know. I'm gonna skip this. Well, I think so. You think that? I guess what I'm trying to say is when people are running away, you were kind of basically tying in from your story, your interpretation that people who are obese or really or like maybe not obese yet, but at least really out of shape, or really just getting there. Or maybe they're skinny fat. Maybe they're just naturally skinny, but they have no physical activity. People who are poor in terms of their health, pillar. Do you believe that do you think that's the missing link for a lot of them in their life, is what I'm trying to say, I guess?
So I think more so in the United States, that's a little bit of something that we need to preach more about, just in terms of that, just like activity, because like physical inactivity is just constantly increasing year over year. So like people are just a lot more sedentary, things like that. And then you see the correlation with the increase in depression and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's all connected. Yeah. It's like,
that's crazy, bro. How did we get here? Like I walk around sometimes, dude, and I walk around and I'm like, dude, everybody is. It's almost like if you're in shape, like you are really you're rare. You're a unicorn in some way, in some places,
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. That whole thing, dude, it's like I feel like I don't like to blame a person, and a lot of like super these gurus and stuff are like, you're fat because you're lazy type of thing. Sometimes people just get lost in the shit that they deal with in their lifestyle, and then they just lose track of time. And then next thing they know, they've like finally look at themselves in the mirror and like, holy shit. And that's like what happened to my buddy Grant that's on my show regularly. He was like, he looked at himself, he was almost 600 pounds, and he's like, dude, I'm gonna die in like 10 years if I don't get this addressed, and that kind of fear took him to take action on his weight loss journey. And sometimes it's just that, like, you get through this period, and I could tell you from personal experience, if I didn't have exercise, I would have been in big trouble in my early 20s, because I was working a corporate job, working 60 some hours a week, and I got lost in that. And like my workouts were half-assed, but they helped me mentally because I was just so stressful. And I was sitting there, and then what made me quit that job was like, I don't see myself doing this anymore. Like I can't do
Yeah.
this anymore because I know that if I just let this thing ride, I'm gonna be in
Yeah.
my 50s miserable, even if I had all the money in the world from this job
Mhm.
because I advanced in in the career path, that wouldn't fulfill me because it's not
Yeah.
something that I want to do in that terms of that fulfillment. Now I know we're going towards something else entirely, but it's like some people deal with this, and it's like sometimes it might could be the smallest action, which is exercise, that gives them something to work towards. Like, with guys in jiu-jitsu, I have guys that train in jiu-jitsu in their 40s. They look incredible. And it's like it gives them something to work towards, after they're raising kids and stuff. And they need that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like you're going to be, the next Elon Musk or anything along those lines. You have to really ask yourself where you want to go and who you want
Yeah.
to be. And there's a path it's possible to build the lifestyle you want. You just got to be honest with yourself in that regard. But like all in all, it's like it all starts with the simple, like, and you can't get there when you're depressed and stuff because you have this like cloudy brain. And it's
Yeah.
like move your body, get more clarity, think about what you want in life, and just keep addressing that, physical exercise. And maybe you'll branch out to something else. Maybe you just want to do some type of competition that will fulfill you for life. And like my brother's friends, they're like, you know what, I'm going to power lift. They compete, they work, their corporate jobs and stuff, but they enjoy the sport of powerlifting. It gives them fulfillment and it makes them happy. It's like maybe you just need that. If you get lost, like I said, like games, if you escape in video games, escape in shows and anything like that, that's entirely normal. But if you find yourself frequently 8 hours on
Yeah.
it and you're sitting there and you're miserable and you feel like shit, it's like you have to change something in your
Yeah.
lifestyle. And dude, there's recent research that was pulled out. I think it was like I forget what type of paper it was, but it was like a lot of depression could be alleviated by changes in your lifestyle.
Mhm.
That's crazy to me because a lot of people are like, oh, it's like this enigma. Like, well, what is
Yeah.
what is causing all this? And it's like, if you just exercise a little bit more, if you eat better and you sleep better, those three things are huge, man. Like even when I was dealing with depression, I had like so much anxiety and I had depression, like I had sleep insomnia and I would fall asleep at like midnight, wake up at 3 a.m. for like a year, dude. And it's like I couldn't go back to sleep. I was just wired. And then I introduced exercise in my life and I had no time to stress about the anxiety because I was just too tired. My body was too tired. I was like, go to sleep. I would pass out. And then that sleep, that aspect of sleep actually improved myself mentally as well. And it's like these are the three things that you could do in your life. And you don't have to do anything extreme with them. You just add small things to them, and it could essentially change your entire health and wellness.
No, I think I heard Andrew Tate talk about depression last week, and he said something I agreed with. He was like, I'm not saying that depression isn't real because I feel like there's a few different trains of thought. There's three. There's like people who are like, depression it's a disease, and there's really, it's nothing you really can do much. You got to get treated you got to get treated like as if it's a sickness with like medication. And you got to treat people with depression differently. And then there's people who are just like, oh, depression isn't real at all. Like that's all made up in your mind, right? And then there's kind of like, I think, the healthy middle ground. And kind of like that. It's like, depression is real, but to make it seem like it's something that is floating around in space that you caught like a bug and there's nothing you can do about it, like that's just going to keep you depressed. Like that's going to keep you
Yeah.
hopeless. Like truth is, like I think the hardest part is recognizing that there is something that you're doing to yourself that keeps you down like that. It's your
Hmm.
habits. And I think it's sometimes, bro, sometimes it's easy to be like, okay, like, and not just like health wise, but like, oh, I'm fat. So like I need to work out more. But a lot of the times though, I feel like when we're depressed, like sometimes it isn't just adding new healthy habits. A lot of the times it's like taking bad habits away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes like I feel like that's more important than like adding more habits. Because sometimes, dude, like like you've ever been addicted to something, whether it's like food, porn, like fucking whatever. It's like, dude, sometimes you need like a month, 2 months from not doing that shit to even like remember how it feels to be human again. Like a clarity, like a clear, strong, feeling like human again. And I think it's crazy because I think, bro, I think you got a lot of middle-aged people who especially nowadays, dude. I can't imagine being like 44 and working a fine job your life, working a fine job, but like maybe you live the boring life and then you go on your phone and then you see some fucking crazy shit on your phone, like some 18-year-old driving a Lamborghini or some fucking chick who's 21 taking like 10 fucking dicks, you know? And it's like, bro, it's like, you know what I mean? And you just will think like, bro, my life is so abnormal or so, it's so mediocre. Like I hate myself. Like now I'm just living in this world that I suck at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, I resonate with that a lot on social media too. I get rid of all the crap, and even then, it's impossible because
Yeah.
like it keeps coming. It's like a virus.
The thing is, bro, like I'm making this podcast because like it's cool, but like sometimes I'm like, dude, I just fucking hate being on like social media and stuff though, you know? And people are like, oh, well, get off. Like we're addicted and it's up to us to fucking quit it. But it's like, dude, I mean, it's tough, you know, it's only up to
Mhm.
us, but I mean, the way it's programmed and everything is it's programmed to keep your attention on it. And the crazy thing is, bro, you could be on your like, dude, you could drink for 8 hours a day, and I think you'll just feel like shit. But you can go on your phone, and you could work for 8 hours a day and be tired. You could work out for 8 hours a day. You could talk to somebody 8 hours. If you do it that long for anything, you're gonna get exhausted. Bro, you could be on your phone and just scroll for 8 hours, and then feel like you could scroll for another 8 hours. It's insane, bro. It's like fucking wizardry.
And you know, there's a lot of that whole entire subconscious thing. And a lot of people think this is like woo-woo shit, but like
Yeah,
if that's around you constantly, you're gonna be drained from it. You're gonna
for
be, you know,
sure.
it's gonna drive you insane. And I always tell some of my buddies, I'm like, if you follow like the social media culture, you're gonna be miserable and depressed,
Yeah,
and you're just going to be unhappy because people tell you sometimes it's like it's from a ego perspective, or it's from a perspective of deceit, where it's
yeah,
like people will show you their life and be like, oh, I'm content and happy with my life, let me show you
yeah,
why I'm so happy and stuff like that, and deep down inside they're not happy. Like I know so
yeah,
many people that are not, like they could be social media influencers and stuff and they're not fulfilled, and it's like that tells you something. Like
yeah,
that would tell you from emotional, like a lot of social media is an emotional based thing. And it's not like you sit down and add a little bit of rationality to it. And the rationality is like, you're sitting there and you're like, is that really the lifestyle I want to live? And I
yeah,
actually, something that kind of tied to this that kind of freed me a lot mentally with social media. And now it's like, I always prioritize creation rather than just consuming content,
yeah.
because the creating content allows me to be my creative self and it excites me. And that's just me personally. The consumption is draining to me. And if you find yourself in the draining side of things, I would either say get off social media or create. Create
Yeah.
something, you know, have some sort of outlet that you can create. And like creation could be, like I said, lifting weights, building muscle, building strength. It could be something like doing some art, you know, playing a sport, playing an instrument, do something that kind of energizes you, you know, and that keeps you away from the crap that's draining you.
It's like when people I hate it and like today I was watching this video from this guy because every now if there's one like sometimes I'll play like just like some of these young like these young like they extended self improvement videos and this one guy Josh Hall I think he's new there's a new one every day but I like this guy right now this guy's I've been listening to him a lot lately I bounce him one to one and he was talking today he made a video today actually just today that he dropped and it made me not want to do this podcast because he said his video was like finding your passion. And I thought like, oh, this is gonna be another one of those like listen to your gut feeling, what do you think of when you close your eyes, which I feel like you see all the time, and I actually feel like it's fucked a lot of us up. And his video today was like, bro, like you can close your eyes and feel that gut feeling, but it's not gonna pay the bills. He's like,
Mhm.
too many people nowadays, he's like, they're thinking, they forget like you got to pay the bills first. You got to feed your family first. You can chase your passion when you got the money. You know what I mean? Like you can change the world when you got the money. Like you need the money to change the world. You need that to change the world. And he's like, but you can't do it without any. You can't do it if you can't even afford to pay your bills. And I was like, he was like, just focus on working hard and do something. And he was like, you find those crazy opportunities when you work hard and you put yourself in a because it wasn't the same. Oh, just work hard, right? Because I mean, if you worked hard at McDonald's your whole life, you're still gonna be a broke motherfucker, right? And unhappy. but he was like, you know, work hard, but also put yourself in those situations that are challenging. Like, let's say you want to join a new club, like a new social club, but you know, you're embarrassed to be in it. Like, join it. And then somebody, you might overhear a conversation about an opportunity or a type of job that you didn't know was possible, but all of a sudden it just lights up in your mind. He's like, that's how you're gonna find that good shit. And I was like, man, that's actually kind of true, bro. Cause it's like nowadays, man, I feel like this is what's really fucked me up. And I feel like it's fucked up a lot of young people for running out of time. We got 9 minutes left. We can just do a new one after, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyways, I feel like that's fucked up a lot of people because they're like, you're either trying to chase your dream and then you become a starving artist because you're chasing your passion without knowing what the fuck's going on, or you're a dude who has a regular job and you're envious of the person who's so-called chasing their dream and chasing their passion, right? And it's like when really like, unless the passion really, really pays off, which most of the time it isn't for different reasons, like the dude who has the regular job is actually winning.
Yeah. You know, I'll be real with you guys too. When I started my business, I quit my job, worked through it. I expected an overnight success.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. Very rarely very rarely that's going to happen. But what happened from the business, and this is just, I'm not going to say anything in regards to this could potentially happen to you. It may not. But what happened was I got around entrepreneurs. I met some great ones. One of them offered me a job at their agency essentially, and that's what's paying my bills. I don't take income from my brand because it's not time yet, and like I'm working at this agency, and then I'm working on my business. But times I have to work more on the agency compared to my business. But what I have to do in terms of that is like I'll go where my energy is going. If I have to spend a month like grinding 80% of my time on the agency for it to scale because we have it's been bringing me up income wise to raise a family and stuff, I'll do that. And I'll put the 20% on my brand. I've been talking with a coach that I've been working with, and it was energy. Like my energy was more towards the agency stuff right now compared to my business and brand. So I had to put more energy to here, but I'm not hard on myself if I can't make shit happen on the business side of things at this moment in time, because I know that the energy is going to shift towards this, and I'll be able to scale it on a larger level when that happens. And it's like sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes and it's not easy. Yeah, you know, it's definitely not easy, especially in this day and age where we have to work harder than honestly, we have to work harder than our grandparents and even parents. And like they'll say, oh yeah, you know, we work till, you know, from dawn to dusk. And it's like, it's not even just that. It's like sometimes for us, we have to work two different things. Sure. And it's like for us to just get a living in this moment in time just because it's rough. But then eventually, like my whole thing is like with my business, I built the skills necessary to get paid significantly more at this agency because of the skills I learned from my business. It applied to there. Now, I'm not saying that's going to apply to everybody, but if you ever decide to, you know, start your own thing, and let's say, for example, you find that it doesn't fulfill you, but you learn so much from it, and somebody finds your skills desirable here, especially as a business owner, they're going to pull you into their stuff. Like I've seen people that own their business, they actually closed it down because they became a CEO of some major, or not CEO, I believe it's like a CMO of a major business. And I'm like, I guarantee you that he's making a 400K salary yearly just because of that, because of the skill set that he had from struggling in his business, building the skills that he needed there, became desirable for a big corporation. And then like that stuff happens, but like you gotta be honest with yourself with that. Like if you want to start your own thing, keep it there, build it slowly, because eventually it's going to pay off regardless of whether or not it's going to be that exact business or whether or not it's going to pivot to something else entirely.
Yeah.
But keep the job running.
Well, what got us in this was like 12 months to 1 millionaire, the book 12 months to 1 million. And then we stuck around a lot longer than 12 months only to realize like, bro, where the fuck's the million, you know? But and like I think it is silly, I guess, now to be like, well, why'd you actually think that was gonna happen? And it's like I didn't fucking in the same reason why like kids think when they're gonna go to college, like every day they're gonna have some crazy threesome or crazy party, you know? It's like you know, they were sold, you know, it's like that's not real life. None of this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tony, should you want to do 20 more minutes?
Yeah, I got time.
Okay, I'll send you a new link.
All right. Yeah, just exit out of this and it'll load up. So
And how do I do that? Do I have to wait for the new one to load or what?
I think you can still record while it's loading.
Okay. And meeting for
Wait. All right, I'm gonna hit the record.
Mike, sounds good.
Yes, sir.
So, bro, so you're big into the whole, obviously exercise depression, but you start off lifting, and now it's like you're big into jiu-jitsu kind of now. You're getting big into jiu-jitsu. I think you got a competition coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, bro, jiu-jitsu is kind of popping up too. I feel like it's kind of starting to become it's starting to become very popular. I feel like even some dude just texted me now. He's like talking about jiu-jitsu, but he's like, I don't know if I really like it though. And I was like, yeah, but what do you think is the main difference between doing jiu-jitsu and lifting for, I guess, because I don't want to just say depression, but just mindset in general. What do you think the difference is in the mindsets that it aids you?
So this is a good question. I can connect the two first, and then I guess you could say contrast. But like for jiu-jitsu, I guess you could say jiu-jitsu and lifting, I guess you could say like just in general, if you look at the research for exercise for mental health, it's just moving your body, moderate intensity, just sweat, right? Get a good workout in, it's going to help you mentally. Now, for the jiu-jitsu side of things, the confidence comes from being competent in doing jiu-jitsu. So it's like, sure, there's some impractical things, and like if you ever get in a situation where you're defending yourself, if you're in gi, obviously, I've been practicing collar and sleeve. It's like you could potentially do that to somebody's sweater, but like in a self-defense type of thing, there's some things that can't really work. But then there's some other things like the grappling, the wrestling stuff that would make you a menace, and that would help a lot in terms of confidence in defending yourself if shit hits the fan. Now with lifting, you have this other side of things, like if it's mainly the muscle building aspect, it's like you'll get confidence from looking better, right? Physical exercise, lifting weights, hypertrophy, muscle growth comes. You basically will see that as a result. You'll see the physical benefits that may breed confidence for you. I feel like regardless of what you do, gravitate towards what excites you the most. And maybe it's just starting and trying things out and trying to figure out what works best. But like it's two different things, because in terms of like if we're talking nerdy, in terms of jiu-jitsu, it's a lot of isometric strength. You're like holding people in specific positions for even minutes at a time. Whereas like lifting, it's like reps, right? You do like 8 to 12 reps, you rest, you get back into it. That's like more so, the whole entire like just building your muscle and things like that. It's a different response. Like top of my head, I can't think of the process of it, but like essentially like there are two different types of it's two different types of progression too. It's like you're getting stronger by lifting more weights. This one here, you're getting more technical and just building rep on a rep and just doing it consistently. I don't know if I'm answering the question entirely, but that's just like what I'm kind of gauging it as.
Yeah, I get the whole like obviously they're different exercises, but I mean like I think one, because I think if you're just gonna exercise just to move and around to build like for the sake of simply just serotonin, like I feel like I thought it's boring, but that's not like if like I like to think like I don't want to just go to the gym and just walk for 10, 20 minutes.
I
Like
see
I
what
think
you're saying. I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like long term, like the dude who's either becomes a black belt or gets jacked, I think he's gonna have a vastly different mindset outcome in 10 years than the dude who just walked 20 minutes every day.
Yeah.
Like the dude, you know what I mean?
So that whole thing too, it's like I like the process of consistent progression. So it's like just in anything. I like 1%. Like I get in the mindset of 1% growth every single day, and it's like going back to the energy thing, like the woo energy thing. Go where the energy is taking you. If you find, because perfect example, like for a while I focused on building muscle, and then over time I was like, I'm gonna build strength through some powerlifting stuff. My brother is in powerlifting, and he's been in powerlifting for years, and you will not see him gravitate towards that because he hates high rep ranges. He's like, anything above 8 to 12 is garbage to me. He's like, I'd rather do like 5 reps and below, because he's just like a tall guy. He's like, I jokingly say he's like a sloth, because he's just like, he likes to take his time, 3-hour workouts, things like that. Sometimes that shit works for people, and sometimes that fulfills people. For me, I like the high energy, like, get shit done. And like that's where I resonated a lot in building muscle. But then I always had the back of my mind, I was like, I wanted to do some sort of martial art. And as
Yeah.
you know, I got into Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, but Muay Thai first. And then I transitioned over to Jiu-Jitsu because my buddy invited me. And that kind of excited me a lot in terms of Jiu-Jitsu, because it's like, even though, technically any type of like martial art is kind of like a chess match, essentially, I see a lot more in jiu-jitsu, where it's like, if I go in this direction, we'll see how this person responds. And I basically, as they transition, I go and move to my position, right? Adjust my position and stuff like that. So to me, it's fun in terms of that. And then especially watching like higher belts compete, like, with us white belts, it's like, it's just flailing all over the place. It's heavy, it's hard. And sure, you get the more advanced like black belt competitions where they're like slamming each other and stuff like that. But like, you could see the art. You could see the art form in it where they're just flowing in response to each other.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I really like that in terms of jiu-jitsu. Now you can get that, and I'm glad we're talking about this too. Is like, you can get that in pretty much anything you do, anything that excites you, anything that you work towards. It's that flow state. And watching that in the form of jujitsu excites me. Now, you
Mhm.
could probably see that in another sport where it's like bodybuilding, where there's, you see the Mr. Olympia, you see C-Bum, everyone loves C-Bum, great personality, great dude, jacked, looks amazing. Like, if you love his lifestyle and you see how he's training with the weights and stuff, and you see how he treats it, it's like, maybe that's your path. Maybe you go gravitate towards that. You just have to find what works best for you. But all in all, treadmill for hours, I would say maybe you should start there, but get away from that if you find something that you find interesting that you want to try out. Don't keep doing it consistently, because there's only so much that you can do with being on a treadmill. Or it's like, okay, I can add some incline, add a little bit more intensity, sitting there. Maybe you could listen to a podcast and stuff, read a book, but then over time that kind of gets boring. And adherence and sticking to exercise, you have to find something that makes you keep going, right?
Yep.
Maybe it starts just by moving your body, like I said, but then it's like, okay, the next step is going to where your energy is going, lifting weights. Sure, if you want to build muscle, maybe it's a journey of losing body fat. Maybe it's a lot less cardio and more lifting weights for weight loss. Like, a lot of people don't consider that as well, but like, there's so many avenues that you can go in terms of getting in the best shape that you want to be in, and physically and mentally. So,
Um, I think that the biggest thing I think is like between jujitsu and lifting is I think jujitsu is very good for like it builds it builds your spirit. It definitely builds your spirit, understanding how to be in those situations. Because I don't even necessarily think like at the end of the day, I think jujitsu is really more of a sport than self defense nowadays. Honestly,
mhm,
like you said, I
mhm.
mean, you're not pulling. I think it's a sport, but I think like being in those situations, I think it's good for your soul. I
Yeah.
think I think lifting though, so we're to lifting has been doing just for like 6 years because they both build your confidence in different ways. And
Mhm.
because I'm not just talking about like, oh, just getting active. Like I'm talking, talking about being fucking confident,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's the end goal. I don't think the end goal should be to ruin your depression. I think the end goal should be to love your fucking life and be like strong
Mhm.
enough to
Mhm.
help others around you. And I feel like lifting is, even though I think the main difference is jujitsu is, it's like, because at the end of the day, I think we all do everything for other people, right? We're
Mhm.
social
Mhm.
people. So like,
Mhm.
I think lifting is cool because when you see yourself physically change, like your
Oh yeah.
surroundings change around you.
Mhm.
But the thing is with jujitsu is like at the other end, like nobody's gonna really care that you do jujitsu. Like they don't know you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
think you do fucking karate or like taekwondo, like like, and it's taught by some dude named Bob in a dojo. You know what I mean? Like they think you're like, they don't really. But at the same time, like you're more comfortable, I feel like, in certain just stressful situations. But at
Yeah.
the same time, though, it builds, I don't know, it builds a certain sort of comfort in stressful situations. But seeing your body transform from lifting, I think what has more physical surroundings or physical impact of people
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
don't know you. You know what I mean? Because it's like I feel like if someone sees me get jacked, like I put on 10 to 12 pounds, they're gonna be like, "Oh shit, this guy's kind of a different motherfucker." But if they see me and like they know I'm a black belt, they're still gonna be like, "Oh, this little fuck, like let's see what I can do." This little fucker, he thinks he does jujitsu. Like let's see what I can. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah,
weird because I think jujitsu is more. I don't know. Go ahead. Sorry, what you're saying?
I was gonna say like I find a lot of jujitsu a lot more social. Like you were saying
Yeah,
too, it's like you're it's like a team effort, but you're training for
yeah,
you're training to better you, but you're training with people, you're sparring with people, things like that. That's like that's the aspect of like you get a social benefits boost in jiu-jitsu. Now with building muscle and bodybuilding, anything along those lines, obviously it's a little bit more on the physicality side of things. You will see significant changes over the course of a few years as long as you're progressing in the gym. I went the route of that bodybuilding route for years until I
yeah,
got into jiu-jitsu. Now, my younger self, I looking back, I wish I started jiu-jitsu sooner. But I
yeah,
will say, in terms of my body capabilities, if you saw where I was when I first started and you see where I am now, like the confidence level, like I've been very ripped. I've gotten to that level. I scratched that off my bucket list. Now I've got like a little 5-pack, sometimes 4-pack on some days going on, but like I'm bulky and I feel comfortable in my body. And I feel like I love where I'm at. I'm not the most ripped, but I just feel big for my weight and my height. And I feel comfortable in this weight. And it's like that carried over to the strength in jiu-jitsu too, which actually gives me more confidence in jiu-jitsu because I'm like, there's a lot of focus for me on technique, but I have that
yeah.
strength if I need to bring it out. Like in the
Sure.
competition time, like I'm actually competing in a higher weight class and I'm actually like 10 pounds under. Rest in peace, me. But it's gonna be a fun one. But regardless, like I'm pretty confident in my strength, unless I'm gonna go against somebody that like lifts regularly like me and
Yeah.
does jiu-jitsu, then it's going to be a fun match. But like, I feel pretty confident with my strength in that regard.
Well,
And
I
then
think
like,
it's. But so go ahead.
no, keep going, keep going.
No, I think it's hard though. Like starting off, like even now, I'm finding it hard to do. Like, bro, I feel like I'm finding it hard that if I lift 4 days and then do jujitsu 3 days, I'm exhausted. Like for
Yeah, yeah,
like I just feel burnt out, and it's
hmm
hard to. I think it's hard, really doing both.
yeah. It requires a lot of like I would recommend a coach if they're
Yeah,
as somebody that specializes in both. They'll probably favor it towards the jujitsu more though, and be like, okay, these are the exercises you should do lifting weights, like an MMA coach. Like they're gonna be like, okay, these are the exercises lifting weights, but they're not. It's not gonna be focused on building muscle. It's gonna be
yeah, it's not
focused
gonna be
on
aesthetic.
yeah, it's gonna be focused on
Yeah,
proficiency in jujitsu, like strength
yeah,
building strength in jujitsu for certain movement patterns and things like that. Because muscle building is a whole different goal in its entirety. So it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
you got to pick what you gravitate towards the most, and that could change over time. Like I'm not as big as I used to be when I was focusing on bodybuilding, but I'm in a good
yeah,
like for me, like I said, I'm happy with my weight. I actually lift weights specifically to help me with mobility and jiu-jitsu. So like that's how I do it now. But it's like
sure,
it's different goals, but
yeah,
you could change at any time if you find where your energy is going elsewhere. And like you'll
yeah,
see a lot more now of people that had years of experience in like bodybuilding and they're like, you know what? I am going to be doing jiu-jitsu now. I feel
yeah,
comfortable doing this. I know some guys that like they've done bodybuilding and they've done powerlifting and they're a brown belt in jiu-jitsu and they do it competitively. Those are different animals and different,
yeah,
beings, but they
yeah.
they live they live to work out.
But I feel like the thing is though is because we talked about this recently where because I was doing both pretty consistently this year, and then I realized like I just can't. Like I'm fucking
Yeah.
like I'm not taking testosterone, nor do I have the
Yeah,
genetics
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
LeBron. Like I'm a natural, average dude, and but I want to get jacked, but I also want
Hmm.
to be a great grappler. But man, I was thinking though, you can be. I'm like, well, I'm still young at 20. Like I feel like I got a good few years to still build some good muscle, and I feel like rather than like build some good muscle now, look aesthetic, and then I can maybe really prioritize jujitsu after a couple of 1 or 2 years of building muscle versus I feel like that switch up is harder to go from jujitsu to lifting later in your
Hmm.
life is harder
Hmm.
than lifting to jujitsu. Because bro, there's
Yeah,
people who start jujitsu at like 40 and all of a
yeah,
sudden
yeah,
they're just consistent and then they're just fucking good.
yeah,
But I feel
yeah.
like if you're gonna start lifting when you're 40, I feel like it's just gonna be way harder to build muscle, you
It
know?
is. It is.
Bro, I knew
Muscle
this dude.
atrophy and everything.
I knew this dude. He was. It was when I started Black Hole Nutrition, like the first month. He was like, I think third or fourth customer, and he was a white belt. And dude, he was like really fat. He was an old guy, this really fat old guy from Texas, and he was like, I thought this guy at first was cheesy and cringy because he was always posting jiu-jitsu. This guy's a white belt. Like this guy's, bro. Fast forward a few months ago, he sent me a picture of him on the podium at the fucking World's Masters for blue belt, and he's a world medalist. Like,
Yeah.
and that's just after a year and a half of like just going every single day,
Yeah.
And I thought, like, dang, that's actually so cool, bro. It's like so amazing, you know.
And that brings that whole point too, is like sometimes like if you're in that phase of depression, right? And
Yeah.
you're getting older and you have your kids, or if you're trying to build a family and stuff and you want to get in good shape and there's all this stuff that you need to do, it's like, you could do like perfect example, jiu-jitsu, like an hour a day, maybe even 4 times a week, an hour a day. Like you're gonna see some massive progress in that. And that same applies to weightlifting. Like you
Yeah.
will see some massive progress if you just work out 4 days a week and you lift for an hour. Like I will tell you the best progress I made was 4 days a week. I've tried 5, I tried 6 days a week of lifting. Like those, like they're tough. They're good workouts at times. You feel like you're doing a lot, but recovery is also important, and I know that there's a lot of people that shit on recovery, a lot of the extreme like David Goggins types people,
Yeah.
but like recovery is extra important because you actually perform better over time when you give yourself some time to rest. And especially as you get older, it's like David Goggins, like that's pretty much all he does. Like that's his lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and maybe genetically he's just like an extreme guy and he can handle high levels of stress. That's okay. Like even if that's not you, it's not a big deal. You can actually build a pretty badass lifestyle in regards to, just do it. Like I'm saying, essentially is like you see, like you perfect example. You were just talking about how he competed and stuff like that, and it's like that probably gives him so much fulfillment, even though he's got so much going on in his life. Maybe he has like gotten through the phases of raising his entire family and stuff, but it gives him something to work towards. And it's like sometimes you need that. It's a small aspect, in your life. So.
All right, bro. We're gonna wrap it up. So if there's any closing things you want to say or plug anybody to anything you're doing.
I want to say great talk. This was fun. Guys, if you want to just shoot the shit with me on social media, you can actually look at anywhere on YouTube, anything like that, YouTube, Instagram, IB Tony G, or you can go and search on my YouTube channel at I Lift Moods. If you guys go on there, I'm trying to build out my channel. I'm trying to build out this whole entire thing, personal brand focusing around exercising for mental health. It's so important to me. I'm kind of trying to tie it into my own brand that I'm building outside of my personal brand. But this is what I'm prioritizing the most because I feel like the message will resonate more if we have people on this journey instead of like a business that's just like, oh, this is what we do. I want to show the journey of not just myself, but others around me. So if you're making progress and you're doing the thing and you actually need any help on your journey or anything along those lines, just reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. So.
Oh yeah, Tony, thanks, bro. First, maybe we'll have you on the show sometime soon after your competition.
Oh, dude, it'll be fun. I got when am I? I got December 2nd. It's the 21st of November. We're a few days out.
Oh, it's next Saturday.
It's next Saturday. Yep.
Oh, dang.
Dude,
Bro, I
I
thought
don't
it
know
was
if you see.
January. Oh shit.
I don't know if you see this gnarly. It's been clearing out, but I got a gnarly black eye, and I'm actually surprised that's the only thing I got from training because I've been training so hard, bro. Like I'm actually surprised my cortisol is not like shot. But yesterday I did this is where I'm like, don't be this extreme unless you're actually going to compete. But it's like I trained 3 times yesterday, and like by the end of the day, I was like I'm rolling, and my coach is like, dude, he's like you're dying, bro. He's like take it easy with these sparring rounds. I'm like, all right, I'll do it.
Well, good luck, bro. Keep us posted how it goes.
I'll let you know. Regardless, win or lose, man, I'm gonna have a blast. So,
hey, man, I think you'll win.
Let's get it, dude.
Fuck losing. I think you'll win. All right, bro.
All right, we'll